I posted a photo on my Instagram account this morning, which I'll link somewhere around here for you to see, but it was basically saying that I'm 32 weeks pregnant and bending over at the moment is such a struggle. And I don't think that that is unique to me during pregnancy. I think it's quite a common stage that we all get to when we're pregnant, that just the simplest thing like bending over to pick up your socks or your shoes, things that you take for granted in normal everyday life become really, really tricky when you're pregnant. And it got me thinking about all the other things in pregnancy that I don't want to say that people never told me, because I'm sure a lot of my friends have mentioned these things along the way or I've read them somewhere, but just the things that I didn't really expect and I hadn't really thought about in any great length until they happened to me. And a lot of them are quite TMI. There's going to be a lot of information in here that perhaps if you're not pregnant or not planning to be pregnant or haven't had a baby or just not interested in that kind of thing, you might want to not watch the rest of the video. If you're grossed out by sort of bodily stuff, just a little warning, feel free to click off if that's not your cup of tea. Or perhaps if you're one of my family members, this might not be the video for you. But for all you mamas out there, I'm going to share with you 10 things that have happened or did happen to me in pregnancy that, yeah, I wasn't prepared for those things and they took some adjustment. Let's just say that. But before I crack on with those, for any of you who are new to my channel, I'm Kate. I'm a mum of 3. I have 2 boys, aged 10 and 4, and a little girl who's 9. And I'm currently pregnant, 32 weeks pregnant with baby number 4. I upload videos at least twice a week and I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel. Just click the button which I will put up here on this bit of wall that's in the way. That's a good place for a subscribe button. If you're currently pregnant with your first baby, please don't be freaked out by my list of weird and wonderful things that have happened to me. Obviously they don't happen to everybody and it's not that bad, but I just think when I was pregnant with my first, YouTube videos about pregnancy weren't really a thing and I relied very heavily on textbooks and just what people wanted to tell me and share with me, which was usually the normal stuff that you expect to hear and you kind of already knew. I would have loved to have had videos like this to watch, of which there are many amazing ones which you can find. But that would have prepared me so much more for what lay ahead of me in my first pregnancy and even, to be honest, in my second and third, because you do forget things and you do have different experiences each time. So I hope that what I'm going to share with you is interesting and you find it useful. I'm going to put bending over in this one like umbrella thing of just body awareness when you're pregnant. I had no idea how clumsy I would become, and I'm pretty bad to start off with, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm not the sort of the most stable on my feet. I have been known to trip over my own feet. I'm just a bit generally crap when it comes to that kind of thing. Anyway, throw pregnancy into the mix and it's just like something out of a comedy sketch. I actually got myself wedged between 2 car wing mirrors the other day because I just lost all sense of how big I was and how like my spatial awareness has just gone out the window. I had no idea that that space wasn't going to fit me and my bump. So I thought, yeah, I could fit through there, gave it a go. Turns out I couldn't fit through there, and there was this couple of awkward seconds where I was like, do I go back? Do I go forward? Do I call for help? Do I, like, what do I do? Turns out just a little bit of negotiation and wiggling backwards and I was fine. But that kind of thing I didn't expect, and it turns out as well that 4 pregnancies down the line and I'm still none the wiser. I still, because this happened, the bump wing mirror incident happened this time around, so I'm clearly not learning any lessons from previous pregnancies. On a similar line to body awareness during pregnancy, I also didn't expect some of the weird issues like pains and things and sensations that I would get during pregnancy. Now, I've talked in some of my pregnancy updates before about lightning crotch and how I never got that first time around, so that was quite an unpleasant surprise with my second pregnancy, and definitely with my third I had it a lot more, And that, if you don't know what lightning crotch is, it's basically that sharp, like lightning bolt of pain in your bits that just comes from nowhere. And I'm guessing, I've actually never really understood entirely why it happens. I'm guessing it's simply that the baby is lying on a particularly sensitive part, maybe on your, right directly on your cervix. It almost feels like it's going to drop out of you. It's that sort of severe. And it doesn't last long for me anyway, usually a couple of seconds and it's gone. But that pain is something that nobody had ever warned me about before. And when I mentioned it to my midwife, she was like, oh yeah, that's just, I think she called it hot knives. But she said, oh yeah, that's quite normal, don't worry. But no one had ever mentioned it before. We all know that with pregnancy comes a lot of bodily functions and changes to those bodily functions. We all know that pregnant women pee a lot, and you know that that's coming and you expect it. What I didn't realise was how desperate, when I need to go, it is urgent. I do my pelvic floor exercises and I don't, you know, it's not a problem in that sense, but when you're pregnant and you've got that weight on your bladder, you've got to get to the loo quick. And when you're heavily pregnant, that's not easy either. So it's almost like Mother Nature is like stacking things against you. It's like, how fast can I make a whale waddle to the bathroom before she pees herself in front of her entire family? And in the morning when I wake up, when I'm lying still, scrolling through Instagram or whatever I'm doing before I get out of bed, I'm fine and I don't feel desperate for the loo. The second I stand up, and the baby must obviously slump down onto my bladder, it is hilarious, at least it must be for those around me, how quickly I have to get myself from my bedroom to the bathroom, which is literally only a couple of seconds away, but it's like life or death, matter of urgency. So I sprint, as only a pregnant woman can, to the bathroom. All hell breaks loose if somebody else is in there and I have to go to the one downstairs. So yes, I knew that I would need to pee more frequently when pregnant. I did not realise it would become some sort of competitive sport. Really annoyingly, my camera battery just died, so if anything looks different, I've had to sort of sort that out, and the light has changed and blah. So I'm sorry about that. But in the time that it took me to sort that out, I went and had a cup of tea and ate 4 dark chocolate and ginger cookies, and now I feel really sick and will likely be hiccuping and or burping my way through the rest of the video, which is another pregnancy delight that nobody tells you about, is how you will want to eat all the food because you're pregnant and you fancy it, but then once you get a little bit further on towards the end, there's no room in there, so you just feel really uncomfortable and regret it immediately. Pregnancy burps are gross. So I think where I left you was telling you about my need to pee really quickly in the morning, and that's not exclusive to mornings either, that could happen at any time of the day. Bearing in mind how sexy a sight that must be for my poor husband every morning, the next one is quite the contrast. I was used to hearing how you completely go off sex during pregnancy and how you're so uncomfortable and you don't, it's just not, doesn't enter your mind, and obviously immediately after birth, that is definitely very far from your mind. What I hadn't realised and didn't read or nobody told me about was that actually it can work the other way and you can end up with it going through the roof, and that took me by surprise. I didn't expect that. Very happy side effect for my husband, but just completely unexpected. I remember seeing in a pregnancy update of somebody else that I follow, and I forget who it was now, and it was around the sort of, oh, speaking of my husband, hello?
Hello.
What's up? Yeah, I can in a minute. I'm just filming something, but I'll only be another 10 minutes, so I can do it after that. Where was I? I've completely lost my train of thought. Sex drive, yes. Yeah, so I remember seeing in somebody else's video that happened to them and they weren't expecting it either. And yeah, I'm undenied about whether to include this because it is a bit cringe at the end of the day, but it's true, and it was literally, yeah, all I could think about. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Happy days. I don't predict that being the case after I've had the baby or for the last few weeks of pregnancy though, so you should make the most of it while you can. We all expect, and probably everyone experiences, mood swings in pregnancy, and I was 100% prepared to feel hormonal and, you know, up and down all over the place. What I didn't expect was how anxious I would feel at times, and not to the point of it causing me any real concern, but just, as I've said a million times in my videos, I'm a worrier anyway, so I suppose I should have seen it coming that even the smallest thing would send me into this sort of spiral of feeling anxious and worried. And, you know, especially, it's a worrying time, isn't it, when you're pregnant and you don't want anything to go wrong. So even though you expect the sort of emotional roller coaster of it, I didn't expect to be so anxious and that my worrying would get worse. I talked about body awareness at the beginning, and the next couple are more about body changes. And obviously there's a pretty big body change going to come your way when you're pregnant, but there's a couple of other little ones which I didn't really think about beforehand, which have happened to me probably every pregnancy. The first is changes to your boobs. Yes, you know they're going to get bigger and just generally quite uncomfortable. What I didn't realise, and have to be fair since read about, is that your nipples change so much. I didn't expect that, and they get typically bigger and darker in colour. It doesn't bother me, it's fine. I have quite fair skin, so it's quite a change. Yeah, as I said, it doesn't bother me, but I just kind of wish I'd known about it. I've never had leaky boobs before having the baby before. I know lots of people who have, and that is another one that they don't necessarily tell you might happen. Let me know if you've had that actually, at what sort of stage it did, because maybe I will get it this time around. Who knows? Kind of want to, because I've never had it before and this is my last baby, so I want to have all the pregnancy feels this time around. Nobody told me about changes in body hair. This is a really weird one for me because my body tends to do something really strange in pregnancy, and again, I think it's happened in everyone. And I always say I think it has because after you get past 2, I find that pregnancies tend to kind of all blur together a little bit and I forget what was with which baby. Some women say that they get serious, like, extra growth of body hair in pregnancy, and they have to shave their legs like twice a day, and they're like growing hair in places that they've never grown hair before, and the hair on their head is really thick and there's lots more of it. Some women on the other hand say that nothing grows anymore, they don't have to worry about shaving and it's brilliant. For me, I have kind of a bit of both, that my hair seems to get fuller and longer in pregnancy and seems to grow a lot quicker on my head than the rest of my body, like underarms and legs and things that I would normally need to shave, slows right down, and I hardly have to shave my legs at all. I think once a week, and this, like, just have a feel, I'll do a feel test. Yeah, see, I haven't shaved my legs for 5 days and there's barely any regrowth at all. It's amazing, and definitely one of the perks of pregnancy for me, I hardly have to shave at all, and my underarms are the same. But on the flip side of that, I seem to develop a really attractive, fluffy, furry tummy during pregnancy. My bump just has blonde, sort of very fine, it's not noticeable, like, to somebody who stood next to me, I don't think, but I don't tend to get my tummy out for anybody to see, so who knows. But it's very fine and very blonde and sort of fluffy rather than hair, because I know some women really do get a lot more sort of thicker hair on their tummies during pregnancy, because I googled it because of mine. Mine is definitely sort of more like fluffy, furry tummy, but it's happened every time. The last one, to a degree, I kind of expected it, because you hear that kind of pregnancy does funny things to your skin and can make it more sensitive and things like that. I didn't realise how uncomfortable my skin would be at times. There are days where it's so itchy and just uncomfortable. It is like an itching sensation, which I guess is just from the stretching of the skin. And I'm pretty good at moisturising and drinking lots of water, but just the sensation, it can, some days it's fine, some days it's unbearable, and I just feel like any clothes on my skin just are annoying and irritating and kind of make it feel worse. I don't know if it's because it's warmer and I have never been heavily pregnant at this time of year before, so that probably doesn't help. Today, I'm absolutely fine and it's not bothering me at all. So that's another one of the joys of pregnancy. It's unpredictable and you never know what days are going to be good ones and what days are going to be bad ones. Today's a good skin day. So I really hope you've enjoyed watching this video and that it wasn't too much information for you. Apologies if it was. I just thought it was really important to kind of share. If you're going to share the unexpected things about pregnancy that I didn't really realise myself, then you've got to be honest, haven't you, and kind of tell it like it is. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'd love to have you, and I'll see you in my next one. Oh, please do leave me your comments in the description box below about what you experienced during pregnancy that you weren't expecting. I'd love to read about them. Thanks for watching.